All right, let's break down the solo. So, key of the song is A minor. So we're going to use our A minor pentatonic scale. Now, the cool thing about this solo is that there's one extra note that Steve plays and adds to the minor pentatonic scale, which gives it this cooler, sort of almost jazzy kind of vibe, more sophisticated kind of sound rather than just sticking to the 5 notes of the minor pentatonic scale. So the extra note that he adds in this solo, and we'll look at it a little bit more in depth in a second, but it is the major second starting from A. So it's going to be a B note. It's pretty cool. So it's just one extra note added to the minor pentatonic scale in that whole solo, that middle section solo. It's actually pretty, it's cool. So let's check it out. This is what it sounds like. So with that first line, we're up at the 17th fret. It's that same position that we know and love. Just up 12 frets. Oops. So we're going to be bending from the 19th fret of the G string, a full tone, and then we're going to hit the 20th fret of the B string at the peak of that bend. And then what he does is bends back down from the 19th fret G. And then we're hitting the 16th fret, which is the major second, that's that B note, the major second. And we're actually bending it up to the minor third of the scale. That's how I think of it. Right, so we've got... Cool. This is what it is in context. Right? Next phrase. So this is all minor pentatonic. I like that phrase. I think of it as like a little crisscross. Right? So that's, I guess you could think of it as, some people think, the 5th position, the minor pentatonic scale. So that's 17 of E, 15 of B, 15 of E, 17 of B. Right? Let's have a listen. So then we've got some extra notes here. Now this is still minor pentatonic, except we're adding that, again, that B note. And we're using the wang bar there. So the phrasing is what's really important here. So those extra few notes. 17 of G, 16 of G, back to 17, and then we're flipping to the D string, 17th fret, and that's where we add the bar. Now what's interesting is that he hits this note, which is a G note, he hits it over the F chord, and this is the way that I think of it, that's the major second of F, and uses the bar to descend, sort of like it's falling off a cliff. So we've got pretty cool. Here it is from the start. He goes quite low on that. Pretty sweet. Okay, let's look at the second section. Let's get this up. Here we go. Classic. Right? That's all first position minor pentatonic, hitting the minor third, which is 17th fret of the G string, landing on the root note, which is 19th of D. I find it pretty important to think of it in terms of the intervals that we're playing. rather than just a shape. That's how I think of it. And that way we can use it in our own playing and in our own solos, especially if we transpose the key. So check this out, that's that phrase again. Now, this is where that B note comes in. So we're hitting the flat 7 of A, which is the 17th fret D, going up a tone to the root note, which is 19th fret D, and I think he does this to the B and then comes back down to the A note. It's sort of hard to hear in the recording. And then we're landing on the flat 7 of A, which is 17th fret D. So that phrase nice and slow. Cool. Here it is. Right. It's up to you if you want to pick that. I kind of like the hybrid thing. And that A note, that one there, is sort of muted. It's real subtle, which is pretty cool. Let's have a listen to the next phrase. It's kind of like an add-on. It was quite jazzy. Right, so here it is. We've got 17 of D, going to 19 of D, hitting that B note, which is 16 of G, and then we're going to descend to 17th fret D, and then land on 19th fret of A. Now that I think of as an E minor triad. So I'm getting more information out of this solo than just playing the solo just note for note. Because that's cool, but I want to get as much as I can out of it so I can use that. And that piece of information means I can take that E minor arpeggio anywhere. Right, and use it all over the fretboard as an extra sort of color, and it's adding that B note into the minor pentatonic scale. So where were we? Let's go back. So that phrase, I think of it as 3 parts. First part, and then the second part is, and then the third part. Cool. So it's all sort of really linked together. One small idea, pretty bluesy, adding some jazzy colors, I guess, and then finishing off the phrase. Right? He adds this. It's almost like a bookend to the sequence. The same phrase that we started with, hitting the minor third of A, which is our 17th fret G, going down to 19th fret of D. So 17 of G, 19th fret of D again, but I think he actually hits the B string at the same time as that minor third. Cool. And then we're going to bend from what I think of as the perfect 4th of A, and we're bending up to the perfect 5th. So in fret numbers, that is 19th of G, bending up a full tone, trying to hit that note. Right, playing that in tune is really important. Right? And then at the peak of that bend, he hits the flat 7 of A, right? Which is fret 20 of B. And then bends up a full tone again. It's kind of tricky. So I play around with that fingering, right? Does the similar thing on the E string. So it's kind of like stair stepping, that's how I think of it. And I'd play around with that fingering because it's kind of awkward. Right? So it's down the minor pentatonic scale, but he does this sort of crazy bend from the minor third of A, which is, we're still in that first position pentatonic, right? That's fret 20, and we're descending. Let's have a listen. Right? So just bending up, and then descending, and then, sorry. Now this is pretty cool. So we're bending from, it's probably my favorite phrase in the solo. It's a cool one to end on. We're bending from the flat 7 of A, which is our 20th fret on the B string. And he does, it's kind of like it's another crazy bend. It's 2 tones. It's the distance of 2 tones. So we're bending from the flat 7, which is a G note, right? And then we're trying to hit a B note, which is that extra note that we added to the scale. It's tricky, right? So let's have a listen. And then we're actually descending down a C major triad. This is how I think of it. Still in first position. Remember I said before, we're trying to get the most out of our pentatonic scale. So that's a C major triad, right? It's also A minor 7, but I think of it as C. And then we're landing on the root note of A, right? And rolling down. Let's have a listen. Now he gets out of that solo before the key change. It goes to B flat. Right, so that's pretty important. And that happens in that 9th bar of the solo, which is pretty cool. So hopefully that makes sense. I know we flew through that, but have some fun with that. After this, you'll see me just playing over the end. It's like a little bit of an outro solo, it's an improvised solo. Please subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.